Hey, welcome back to MIA TV. Today we're going to have a quick look at some of the PVA range in store. Now, we have pretty much all different makes of PVA, but here's one called Castaway PVA. And the thing that sets Castaway apart from all the other companies that do PVA is that they've brought out some kind of very innovative ways of tying up the bag. So I'm going to show you very quickly one of the methods. They do the funnel web style in 3 different sizes. They do these cone PVA, solid PVA bags. These are what they call distant bags. And the idea is that you put the lead in at the very bottom, if you're fishing kind of like a slightly helicopter style rig, put the lead in at the bottom and then fill up the bag and then tie it off further up your actual main line. And what that does, it makes a very streamlined bag for casting. That shape's been around for a long time, but the PVA, as I say, is of very high quality. One of the things that I really think are going to make a huge difference to most anglers are these things. These are Pva cable ties. And what they are, they're little cable ties that you would normally use from an electrical store, but they're made of polyvinyl acetate, which means that they will actually dissolve in the water. So the great thing is you can actually use these to tie off your PVA bags, and they dissolve very, very quickly. The tighter you pull them, the quicker they dissolve. So you can actually monitor your or set your dissolve time by how hard you pull on the actual when you're tightening up. The other thing I see these really coming into is for the pike anglers. Pike anglers fishing very, very soft baits like sardines. If you just get a bit of a kitchen towel or something like that and just dry away the fish part, you can actually put that around the wrist of the fish, around your trace, so that when you're punching it out, it's not going to come off, and the minute it hits the water, it dissolves and leaves a very soft bait with a very soft hook hold, giving you a much more chance of a hooking ratio. But anyway, let's get into tying. These are the solid PVA bags from Castaway PVA. These are the 60mm by 150mm. Nice solid bags. Now, one mistake a lot of anglers make is when they're tying up a PVA bag, they get the biggest bag they can find, and what they do is they overfill. And when you overfill anything, you know, you're putting up too much feed into the water. And the one thing that you don't want to do is put too much feed in. You're really trying to create a situation where there's just enough of a mouthful for the fish. Yeah. So just open up the bag. Now, the way I like to do it is I like to have, a lot of anglers put their leads at the very bottom and then fill up. I personally don't like that. That's just me. If I was punching the bait out a long, long distance, then that's exactly the way I would do it, because I'd want the center mass weight at the very bottom of the bag. But what I tend to do is I put in my hook bait and I just slide that in. And again, as I say, I'm stipulating I do not want a huge amount of food in this particular bag. And what I do then is I push the bait over into one corner and I bring down the hook and I push that into the other corner. And sometimes, if I'm in that kind of frame of mind, just to make sure, I then pierce the bag with the hook so it doesn't move. So that's the bag ready to go. So now it's just a case of filling it up with whatever bits I'm using and then packing it down. So we keep filling until you get the required amount. Now, there's many methods of tying this off. There's the lick and stick method, which I'm a big advocate of. There's also the other method of just tying it off with a bit of PVA. But this is where this PVA is really going to come into its own, especially the cable tie. So there's my bag. I don't want any more food than that. That's plenty. It's enough for a carp to come in on and get a mouthful on. So here's the cable tie. So we're just going to go round with the cable tie, and you just go through the hole. And once it's through, it's just a matter of pulling it and keep pulling until you get it down to a nice enough hole, but not quite closed, because you want to do a bit of fiddling now. Tighten up your bag and compress it down, and then keep pulling. And as you can see, I'm just doing this very easily on my own. I'm not struggling to do it. A lot of the time when you're doing PVA bags, it's very, very fiddly. And that is it. So it's all about streamlining your bag. So what I would do now is I just snip that piece off, and then I would then take away the excess PVA on both sides. And that is ready to cast out. If you want to be neater again, you can be a little bit more anal about taking that down. Always remember then to make it even more aerodynamic, we lick and stick the corners. So we push out all the air, compact it down, give a little lick and stick it over. You do the same with the other side. Little lick, stick it down. And that makes it very, very compact and ergonomic, very dense in its weight, so when it casts out, it will fly very straight and very true. That's how I tie my PVA bags. Very, very simple, but let's get to see how this dissolves now. Okay, this is the Castaway PVA funnel web. Now the funnel web PVA is pretty much like every other funnel web on the market. It comes in this little tube, sits inside with the actual plunger inside, and you keep that nice and tight so that no sort of damp air can get to it. This is 7 meters in this particular spool. The size is 25 millimeters, which is perfect in my mind for putting boilies in, or just enough food for the carp to have a munch on. Again, with most PVA products, people tend to sort of overload and put too much food in them. And the idea is you're just trying to put enough food in for the carp to have a mouthful plus the hook bait. You don't want too much at all. So again, you use the plunger to push down, but this is the thing, put your thumb in place, pull the PVA tight, put your thumb in place, and then put the plunger in and push down real tight so you compact the actual food items. Then it's just a case of using the plunger and keeping, again, tension on the actual PVA and let it push right out. Now, when you're tying the knot, give yourself a bit of room. Go do an overhand and through the hole. And then what you do is you tease back by keeping your finger in it until you're pretty much down. And then what you do is you just pull the last bits through until you get it nice and compact right next to it. So there's your piece. Now I would never fish more than that on any one rig, mainly because I just don't want to overfeed the carp. Now what I would say is what I've done there is then I start to push out, where I've compressed it, I try to push it out a little bit to fill out the actual PVA. And then what you can do is you can tie another one, same deal, using your fingers to hold the position where you need it be. You need a slight gap, and then you just cut it like so, and there's your PVA. When you hook on your hook, you can then press this in to allow the boilie sit on the side, and out she goes. And it'll melt down very, very, very fast. Also, by tying the second knot in it, you're ready to go for your next PVA bag. And what a lot of anglers do is they make up a number of these in an instance so that they'd have them all ready to clip on and cast out, so you can actually maximise your actual fishing time in the water, rather than sitting out on the bank for half an hour while you retie rigs and get yourself sorted. So that's the Castaway PVA, available in Main Irish Angling. Check it out, there's a load in stock. But check out the cable ties. I have to say these are going to be absolutely revolutionary for pike fishing, and also for many applications for the carp angler. There's loads of times where you'll need to tie things in, and it's a great way of doing it, a very quick and easy, simple way. The tighter you pull it, the quicker it dissolves. This has been Jerry, MIA TV. See you soon.